Despite all the information that we have available now on brain retraining, there is still a lot of confusion around this topic, and any skepticism you might have, no matter how small, can hold you back. The first part of brain retraining that you'll see in any brain retraining program is always education. It's information. It's understanding what's going on. That's why we have these cases of what doctors call book recoveries or video recoveries. You read a book, you watch a video, and you start to recover, or you fully recover, because the information itself starts the rewiring and changing the way that your body works. All right, let's dive in. I'm going to give you the 8 biggest myths or thought barriers, along with 8 rewire sentences that you are going to repeat after me after I say it. You can say it out loud, or you can just say it quietly in your head. Either works. And the more often you say it, the more effective this will be. So go back at the end of this and watch these 8 rewire sentences, or listen to them again and do them again, because the more you say them, the more you repeat it, the more you practice this exercise, the more you strengthen those new pathways in your brain. All right, myth number 1, or recovery barrier number 1. Brain training is all woo-woo. It's kooky, it's mysterious, it's not backed by research or science. There are no clinical findings that support it. Rewire number 1. Repeat after me. Brain retraining is grounded in neuroscience. It's supported by a body of research showing how the brain can change and help people heal through neuroplasticity, through changes in the brain. And techniques used in brain retraining are evidence-based and have been shown to help people recover from chronic conditions like CFS and Long Covid, plus many others. It is backed by many clinical studies that have been published in peer-reviewed journals. Believing that the mind and body are separate has been disproven. The brain controls virtually all of the functions in our body and in our mind. Okay, myth number 2, or recovery barrier number 2. If brain retraining works, it means that all of this was in your head, or that somehow the symptoms were less real. Rewire number 2. If you can feel the symptoms are real. Pain, suffering, and symptoms, they are what they are. There is nothing that makes some real and legitimate and others not. What you're going through, your suffering, is as real as the suffering of anyone else. No matter the symptom, the root of the symptom is a message from the brain. There was a guy in Alan Gordon's book, The Way Out, amazing book, highly recommend it, or the audiobook, full of brain retraining science, but it was an example of a guy who was working on a construction site, and he stepped on a very large nail, and oh my goodness, what is going on? How is she getting at the tripod from under the door? There is a baby puppy paw going under the door to my recording studio and somehow getting at the tripod for my light. Okay, back to this guy. He got a large nail that went through his boot. Painful, right? He's screaming in pain, in excruciating pain. They rush him to the hospital and he's just in agony. And doctors very carefully remove the boot to discover that there is no damage to his foot. The nail went between his toes, thankfully, not a scratch. The second that he saw that the nail didn't touch him, the pain went away. So the brain assessed threat. The brain generated this symptom to alert him to the threat. And was that pain any less real because it was a false assessment? No, the pain was pain no matter what. Sometimes there's a miscommunication. It happens. All right, myth and recovery barrier number 3. You use brain retraining to ignore the severity of your symptoms, making you push and crash. So you are lying to yourself, you're not listening to your body, and disregarding the severity of your symptoms. Rewire number 3. Repeat after me. Brain retraining does not cause damage to your body. It's also not about ignoring symptoms or about pushing through. With brain retraining, you are working to rewire your brain to turn off symptoms, which does not cause damage to your body. When done with the right tools, it's a gentle, gradual process that doesn't result in large symptom flares. It's more about understanding symptoms and knowing the cause of them and understanding how your brain and nervous system play a role and noticing symptoms, but not reacting to them with fear, acknowledging them, but just going on with your day. Right. Myth and recovery barrier number 4. Brain retraining won't work for people with real conditions or severe symptoms. This isn't for people with physical things going on and various structural issues. Rewire number 4. Repeat after me. The brain can generate any and all symptoms from mild to very severe. And this is an important one, and one how I get that it takes us a while to really wrap our heads around it. Stick with me because this is a really important one to understand, and it's a bit nuanced. I get that. So we're talking about symptoms caused by the brain and autonomic nervous system versus symptoms caused by physical problems in the body or structural damage in the body. Whereas yes, the latter, the second, can be the case and the cause. Research is now showing that in terms of chronic symptoms, long-term symptoms, there is virtually no correlation between structural damage in the body and the presence and severity of those symptoms. So for example, there are people in scans that show all kinds of structural damage in their bones, in their body, in their back, but they have no pain. They have no symptoms. And there is an equal and opposite group whose scans show nothing, and they are in a world of pain. So when it comes to chronic symptoms, the overwhelming majority of the time, what you're seeing in terms of physical problems in the body is not at all an accurate indicator of how you're going to feel. And how severe your symptoms are with chronic long-term symptoms is not at all an accurate indicator of the level of damage in your body. There may be none at all. And as we age, we all get damage in our body. There's no way that scans aren't going to show something. And then sometimes we cling to that as, aha, look at that. There's some damage. I'm going to have these symptoms forever. There's no hope for me. This is the empowering thing, because it can be very scary, these severe symptoms that we get. It can be terrifying. And many people that I interview tell me that they think that they're dying. They are that bad. And these are the same people who completely got rid of their symptoms with brain retraining methods. So this is great news that no matter how severe these symptoms are, it doesn't mean that something is horribly broken in your body or that there's no hope. All right. Myth and recovery barrier number 5. Brain retraining only masks the problem and won't be effective long term. So it ignores or represses emotions instead of processing them. It doesn't address trauma. It's just about thoughts, and it doesn't deal with emotion. Rewire number 5. Repeat after me. The foundation of brain retraining is addressing emotions. Brain retraining addresses parts of the brain that, in addition to controlling chronic symptoms and pain, are also associated with memory and emotion. It addresses emotions, both those experienced in the moment and also those that we carry from our past experiences. Thoughts and emotions go hand in hand. We have emotions about our thoughts. For example, the thought, I will never be healthy again. It's not just a thought, it's also potentially fear or panic or anxiety, depression, hopelessness, shame, guilt, all packed into that one little thought. So yes, brain retraining cannot be separated from emotions. All brain retraining strategies address these things. The core one looking at always is fear, but this can be around suppressed emotions like rage and shame. This can be around past trauma. Many people find that things like therapy and journaling and meditation and all different sorts of things that fall under the umbrella of brain retraining help in that process. That being said, some of the most knowledgeable experts in the field on this topic, like Dr. Howard Schubiner, he says that most of his patients don't need therapy, counseling, psychotherapy to recover. And Dr. John Sarno, one of the early pioneers on this topic, who treated countless people over decades, said that if any of his patients had to, I repeat this all the time because it's important, if they had to resolve all their past trauma to recover, not a single one of his patients would have recovered. And his patients had tremendous success. So yes, it's important to work through emotions and work through these bigger picture things, but we also don't need to find this state of utopia and bliss where we never have stress, where we've dealt with all of our past crap and just we are a meditating Buddha on the top of a mountaintop who has reached enlightenment for our symptoms to go away. We are resilient, us human beings, whether you believe in evolution or God or nature, the way that we are meant to thrive. So yes, work on the emotional piece, but know that you don't have to get anywhere near perfection for you to start to feel better. All right, myth and recovery barrier number 6. Brain retraining is the same as meditation. So if you've already tried meditation or you do meditate and that hasn't worked, brain retraining isn't going to work for you. Rewire number 6. Repeat after me. Brain retraining is fundamentally different than meditation. Although meditation can certainly help with nervous system regulation and calming yourself down, brain retraining, in these strategies, you are actively engaged in what you're doing. In a lot of meditation, you are disconnecting from thoughts and not attaching yourself to what's going on internally. Whereas with brain retraining, we are actively working to change our thoughts and our emotions and are just rewiring around all of this. All right, you are doing great. We are on the 7th myth and recovery barrier, which is a big one that a lot of people feel. So it's normal and okay if you feel this way, but it's that you won't be able to do it. It's not possible to do with severe brain fog and cognitive symptoms. You don't think you'll know when to use it or for what. It'll be too hard to do on your own. How will you stick with it? Rewire number 7. Repeat after me. Anyone who can think can do brain retraining. Coming at this with a perfectionist attitude or any sorts of grandiose expectations can actually work against you. This shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't be work. It shouldn't be a chore. And it often starts out very simply. It might just be a word or a phrase that you repeat. And brain training programs, the good ones, will help you to virtually all programs are going to help you to figure out a way to incorporate this into your life. And it's about thoughts. It's about learning to change the words that you use. It's very simple, subtle shifts. And a part of this is actually taking your focus off of recovery and just shifting your focus onto joy, into finding little pockets of happiness throughout your day, no matter how small, because these moments of happiness and peace and being relaxed signal to your nervous system that everything is okay, that there is no threat, and that you are safe. Okay, myth and recovery barrier number 8. Brain retraining implies that being sick is my fault. So getting sick was my fault. And if I don't recover using these strategies, then that's my fault too. Rewire number 8. Repeat after me. This isn't my fault or something that I caused. There are many factors that contribute to people getting these conditions, and although the science is progressing rapidly in this area, we still don't fully understand what's happening here with the brain and the body's threat assessment systems. Recovery looks different for everybody, with many factors impacting how slowly or how quickly brain retraining will work for you. And although we have these crazy, seemingly overnight success stories, it's very important to know that rapid success is the exception. It is absolutely not the norm. And in addition to these 8 myths, these 8 recovery barriers, the biggest thing that you guys told me when I asked that was holding you back was that you didn't think you're going to be able to pick the right program, that it's overwhelming and you just had no idea which one to pick. Like, what's going to be the right program for you? And there are so many out there these days, and that is valid. That is an understandable way to feel. So, as someone who has interviewed many of these program creators and done the programs and read the books, let me let you in on a very important secret. There is no right program, and there is way more overlap between the programs than there are differences. All of this is based in science, and what that means is that many programs, most programs, are teaching much of the same information. And what is going to make a program the best for you is by finding one where the person who delivers it resonates, so someone that they don't bore you or annoy you, and taking that information that they share and treating it like a buffet of suggestions and then tailoring things. It doesn't have to be to the letter how they say it. Be like, I like that, but I'm going to tweak it a bit and I'm going to do it this way. Or no, that doesn't really fit for me at all. So I'm just going to leave that there and ignore it. And many people, if you can afford to do it, or the ones who can afford to do it, do multiple programs. Many of the people I interview say I did two, and I learned this from this one and this from that one. And the great news is that much of the information, virtually all of the information, is available these days for free. Virtually everything I have to offer, 99% of it, is for free on the internet in various formats. So if you dig, you will find it. But if you do like my particular approach and you're looking for extra brain retraining help and strategies, I invite you to check out my brain retraining course. It's called Brain Retraining 101 for ME/CFS and Long COVID recovery. It has taken everything I've learned from you guys and from everyone that I've interviewed and what people have told me is the best components of various programs out there and just put it together all in one place. Bite-sized videos. We have group calls with me. I get to have actual conversations with you, which is very exciting. We have a private Facebook group just for our brain retraining group participants. So if that is something that you think might be helpful and my approach resonates for you, there is a link in the description for you to join or learn more. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this helpful, and I hope to see you in my brain retraining course.